Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of Total Retail Talks. In today's episode, Executive Editor Joe Keenan sits down with Kate O'Shaughnessy Jung, Director of Loyalty, Mobile, and Strategic Partnerships at Express, and Tony Zubek, Manager of Credit, Loyalty, and Mobile at Express. Listen in as they share how Express has revamped and reinvigorated its loyalty program, all recorded live at this year's CRMC in Chicago. And now, on to the show.
Hi, this is Joe Keenan of Total Retail. I'm here at CRMC in Chicago. I am joined by Kate O'Shaughnessy Jung, who is the Director of Loyalty, Mobile, and Partnerships at Express, as well as her coworker, Tony Zubek, who is the Manager of Credit and Loyalty at Credit, Loyalty, and Mobile at Express. So Kate and Tony are presenting here at the show, and just have a couple questions for them. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
So let's talk about kind of the challenges that Express was dealing with. You're going to talk about this in your session,
Sure.
in retaining customers and generating loyalty to the brand.
So I'll tell you, when the program launched in 2012, the Next Loyalty Program, it was a real one-of-a-kind. It was a multi-tender program encompassing components that had Next. It was 2 tiers, and there were strong participation and adoption right out of the gate. So the business just thought, wow, we hit it out of the park, we got it, and then they shelved it and just kind of stopped managing it and paying attention to it, and there was no innovation. And it kind of snuck up on the business that the decline was starting to really undermine their future trends on existing customer return rates. And that, had it played out, there was strong financial risk. So we recognized this, or the business did anyhow, and they brought us in together as a team, Kate and Tony, 2016 of the summer, and said, can you please fix this?
And I mean, speaking of innovation, back in 2012, multi-tender programs were something that, as a competitor at the time, we were looking at it as more of an expense and a margin eroder, and not really something that was beneficial to the company itself. So that Express was able to take that leap into doing these multi-tender programs with a credit component and a multi-tiered structure. It was really revolutionary. But to Kate's point, I think we had an opportunity where we did not evolve with our customers, and that was totally key. Our customers were evolving, growing, adapting to new technologies like SMS and mobile, where we were kind of resting on our laurels, and that's when we found out that, they brought us in and said, please help us. Yeah. And that's why we're here today.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, you mentioned that kind of the program got a little stale. It was, in kind of the, set off to the side a little bit. And so what steps did you take? You guys mentioned that you joined the company in 2016. What steps are you taking to reverse that trend? Did you change the way that you're engaging your customers, or, the offers that you're giving them? Talk about a little about kind of the steps you've taken to fix the problem.
So the first thing, once we diagnosed the problem with all these declining KPIs, we said, now, is it the program that's broken? And are these members not behaving like good members, good children, in terms of their spend and their frequency? And what we found was that the program was not broken because those who were engaged were still meeting all the KPIs that we wanted. There were just fewer and fewer of them. We worked with our partners at Alliance Data, and they helped us do a value prop study to understand what were some of the changes that could really make a difference. And we tackled what we thought were the biggest issues was, number 1, awareness of the program, number 2, understanding of the benefit, and then number 3, just awareness and participation. And we learned that if you redeem a reward, that is your true signal of future value. So we just focused on how do we get more people redeeming those rewards.
So we really took our eyes off the road. And we have someone, we love her, we love you, Denise, if you're listening. It was the great part about that is that we were like I said before, resting on our laurels. We stopped paying attention to the value of this program and let it go. It's like when you buy a new car. If you don't change the oil, if you don't rotate the tires, it's eventually going to clutter out, and that's where we're going. So instead of having a major overhaul of this car and getting a brand new one, we took the initiative to say, well, wait a second, we can just make this classic a great again, and that's the path we took down.
So let's talk a little bit about how you're using data within the program. You're collecting, information about your customers, and they expect now with that data that you're going to provide certain services and experiences. So, how are you using data at Express to, engender the type of loyalty that all retailers are seeking?
Sure. So the comment on this is that loyalty is built on first-party data. So you treat that like the currency that it is and recognize the value of the customers sharing that with you and giving permission for them to speak to you directly. So we do just that. But the main thing we've done is we made access to the program much simpler. So we actually asked for less than we used to out of the gate. And that was a real trick for us in terms of getting that adoption at the point of sale more easily, saying just your email and your phone number and we'll give you points towards rewards, period. No extra hurdles, nothing else. But as we collect more data from them, that's when we start to pay them for it because we recognize that value. So now if you go online and you complete your profile, we'll give you a $15 bonus reward. And that seems to have hit the mark in terms of what the customers recognize that value for. We also ask for them to take a size quiz and give us their sizes so that we can help inform our own algorithms against size recommendations. So that's our benefit. But then in turn, we also will pay back to them. These are the sizes we recommend for you. And you get a $5 bonus reward. So that's a good example of the kind of behaviors that we're trying to, as they give us data, we reward them in the moment.
Yeah. So
it's that social loyalty component that everyone's trying to drive to, that non-purchase transaction to get them engaged. You know, I mean, we talk about it, but I mean, I don't think companies have really adopted such how powerful a tool that is to drive future engagement within the brands.
A signal of future value is absolutely non-purchase engagements. That's the truth.
So maybe, what are the channels that you're engaging and kind of promoting the program? Are you guys, can you talk about that in terms
Sure. So the biggest thing we did was to make the program part of the core brand. It seems so obvious in hindsight, but prior to 2016, it was managed as a sub-brand and an entirely different set of credentials and awareness. And now it's just part of the customer experience overall. And it is it's ubiquitous when it comes to touch points with Express. So when you're speaking to Express, it is just part of that customer journey. So from trial to membership to reward redemption, app engagement, SMS, email, all these touch points, we reinforce constantly that you're a member.
Because we found that we should not have the customer find us. We should find them.
Yeah.
So to Kate's point, be where they're at.
Exactly.
And mobile is king. Hallelujah.
So then let's talk about business benefits, and this has been an ongoing,
our favorite topic.
Yeah. So that kind of the value that the program's bringing to Express, since revamping it.
It's been instrumental to us finding an unlock for our customers' return rate. I think we've only begun to see the payback in terms of dividends. Our first quarter was positive, which was fantastic because that was a real trend reversal. We'd had a really tough year in 2016 and 2017. Here we are coming out of the gate looking pretty hot. And we see it being driven by these existing customers, returning customers, and all the frequency numbers are all up. So I think the sky's the limit kind of as we keep going.
Because it's really not that moment in time that they were looking at. They were just looking at the redemption. It's the compounding of those redemptions that keep on growing and growing, which is getting us to where we need to be.
That's a big insight. Make sure you're not managing your loyalty program on that single occasion and that profitability of that one transaction. Look at the lifetime value.
Yeah, that's a good point, and maybe you guys could talk a little bit about kind of, what are the metrics? What are you guys looking at on a continual basis to kind of evaluate the performance of your loyalty program?
For me, frequency is king. Frequency is king. The rate at which you return, the speed at which you return, the frequency between your purchases, and then year-over-year retention. We measure all of those things maniacally and want to keep that moving. One thing that we've done that I think is meaningful is we've stopped calling first-time purchasers new customers or existing customers, because they're not. They're a new customer until they made that second purchase. And I think they're not really a loyalty member until they've redeemed their first reward. So it's kind of changing the nomenclature about what is new versus existing versus engaged member.
And what we've done is we've kept the goals simple so that we can share them with other members of our organization. So it also our goals become their goals.
Okay.
So it's really that partnership that we have that really drives the direction what we're looking to do.
Enterprise support was critical to our success in this big transformation. We were able to execute in really just 4 quarters. We turned this ship around, and it's because of that commitment from the highest level.
So my final question for the two of you is, we've talked about kind of the successes you've seen and, continue to grow the program. Do you have any advice for other retailers that are, possibly in a similar situation than Express was, that their loyalty program had fallen off and, declining customer retention rates? What advice would you give them?
The number one thing you got to do is talk to your executives and paint that picture. Rely on your partners, like Alliance Data, like your loyalty program partner, to help you trend out. If this continues, this is a real canary in the coal mine for the future profitability and financial metrics that we all need to hit. And once they understand that, then you can really rally the troops around the need for innovation and change.
Ultimately, it's paying attention. You can't let it. You have to keep your eyes on the road, but you have to also keep on innovating to keep up with your customers. So simply pay attention to the program. As Kate said, it's really an early indicator of if something's going to happen or go awry.
Yeah, future indicator of success is your loyalty program going.
Well, great. I want to take this opportunity to thank Kate O'Shaughnessy Jung and Tony Zubek of Express for joining me here at CRMC.
Absolutely. And we wish all these peers here at the show a really good next year.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this episode, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher, but be sure to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.